Toby.
Okay, well, I've got one last question, which is, I heard
You're allowed, Toby.
Yeah, exactly, because I've got the microphone apart from anything else. Steve, you talked about these are, you want to hold this factors for the long term. Michael, I heard you say that you want to be assessing whether a particular factor is over or undervalued or fair value or whatever. I didn't quite get a sense of what that meant for how much frequency of trading, how much turnover this style of portfolio management was likely to lead to.
I guess from my perspective, given my comments on it's well suited to long-term investors, there's very little change once you set your manager and they're delivering on what they promised in the first bit in a factor-based approach. There's not much room for change, which is not to say there's no room for review, but there tends not to be a lot of change. It's probably different for Michael though.
I can talk about maybe just briefly, just the risk modelling that we do. Looking at, I showed quality and value. We have models used to basically look at ex ante risk, and we'll make minor adjustments to those two factors because we know that relationship does shift slightly over time, but it really is generally pretty incremental in terms of the changes there.
I guess momentum's the one where there's the highest trading costs, probably the best factor pre-trading costs in terms of returns, but it's got the highest transaction cost. And I guess the other factors are just going to differ depending on market behaviour. You get a really strong run in small caps. All of a sudden, those small caps aren't small caps anymore. So you're going to get turnover if you're going to be consistent to that factor. Today's value stock may be tomorrow's growth stock. So it just depends on how. We saw a bit of a shift in 2022. All of a sudden. Value stocks are a little more expensive, and maybe some of those value stocks aren't so much value stocks anymore. So it sort of just depends on market regimes, and that transaction costs turnover is going to be very variable and depends on market conditions.